In this video, I'm going to break down my top 5 habits I'm starting in 2022 and exactly what I'm going to do to make sure I stick to all of them. So the first habit I want to start doing in 2022 is starting to take my health more seriously, specifically related to lifting weights, running, and nutrition. In the past, I've been fairly consistent with weightlifting. The summer before my freshman year, I was actually pretty good at getting into the gym 4 to 5 times per week. However, as soon as I went to college, that pretty much died entirely for my freshman year. There'd be a few weeks here and there where I'd hit the gym 2 or 3 times, but mostly I basically didn't do anything at all. Nowadays, I get into the gym to lift weights about 2 times per week, but honestly, it's not very intense, and I really don't do anything related to protein or nutrition or anything like that. That's why in 2022, I want to, 1, make sure I hit the gym at least 3 times per week every single week. 2, I want to make sure that every single one of those workouts are maximum intensity. I'm not just showing up and hanging out and staying on my phone. And finally, I want to make sure that I hit all of my macronutrients, so I need at least 150 grams of protein every single day, otherwise it's not even worth going to the gym. In my opinion, the diet is the hardest part of lifting. I have been able to, like I said before, get into the gym 2 to 3 times per week pretty consistently, but that diet is something that I've never been able to do for more than a few weeks at a time. So that's honestly the biggest change related to my health I want to make in 2022. Aside from lifting and diet, I also want to start doing some cardio. Again, cardio is something that I've had a lot of trouble doing consistently. There have been a few weeks in the past where I've been able to run every day or every other day, but it's never been anything consistent that's lasted more than a month. My family has a history of heart disease. Right now, since I'm 20, I haven't experienced any of the consequences of that, but if I keep up this habit, not doing any cardio or any consistent cardiovascular exercise, I'm going to be facing the repercussions of that 10 to 20 years from now. It was really a shame. In my childhood, I never really did any sports or athletics. There's a lot of people who do basketball or soccer and they get their cardio through that, and then they enjoy it later on in life, and they just do that consistently to get that consistent exercise in. Because I never really had that, I want to start running consistently now so I can hopefully make up some of that ground and prevent cardiovascular disease and health issues in the long run. Running consistently and doing cardio is probably the single most important thing I could do to increase my longevity and health span. So that's a major change I'm going to make in 2022.
I think exercise is the single most important longevity drug we have, bar none.
So what's the system? How am I actually going to stay consistent with going to the gym and lifting weights, eating healthy and getting enough protein, and running? Like I said before, every time I've tried to run or go to the gym or eat healthy, it really only lasts a few weeks. I've never actually been able to do it consistently over the long run. And the reason for this is because I have no accountability or incentive to keep going. No one is putting a gun to my head and saying, you have to go to the gym today, you have to go on a run today, otherwise something's gonna happen. It's all too easy to wake up that morning, just want to stay in my nice warm bed and rationalize not getting up to go on that run. I also am someone who really likes food. I love croissants, pizza, pasta, all like this carb-filled unhealthy stuff. And because of that, it's so tempting to go to a restaurant and just forget my macro goal and just get derailed entirely in that area. So here's my accountability system related to lifting and running and diet that will make sure I keep doing it over the long run. I'm planning on getting a lifting coach and a running coach to help keep me accountable. I'm gonna work with a lifting coach 2 to 3 times per week, and they're gonna make sure that I push myself to my max on my workouts and I'm forced to show up every single time I work with them. Along with that, they'll also help me keep track of my macros and set my goals and make sure that I'm making progress week to week. I'll also get a running coach, and the running coach will make sure that, again, I run 1 to 2 times per week, which is the most important thing, keeping up that habit of going a few times per week over the next year. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, why do you need a coach? Can't you just go on your own and figure it out? And yeah, you're technically correct. I could work out a few times per week, try to push myself to the max and track my macros. Theoretically, it's all possible. But ask yourself this, over the last 3 years, how consistent have you been? Have you been able to hit the gym 2 to 3 times per week? Have you been able to get 100 to 150 grams of protein every single day? And if not, how much progress would you have made if you actually were able to stick to your goals? See, maybe an accountability factor, something that forces you to go, wouldn't be so bad. Getting a coach is basically paying for consistency, which really helps over the long term. The lifting coach is probably not going to tell me anything that I don't already know related to form or technique, but the fact that they're standing there at the gym at 7 a.m. waiting for me to come will make a difference because it will force me to get up on time and actually go. And the fact that they're standing there yelling at me to keep on going, to do a couple more reps, will make a difference because usually in the past when I go on my own, but half the time I end up leaving early because I only just do my compound lifts, which is a problem that I want to fix in the future. It's the same thing with college. Nowadays, everyone's like, why do you need to go to college? College is not worth it. It's all online anyway. All the information is out there for free on the internet. What's the point of going to college? But ask yourself this, if you didn't have tuition, grades, a GPA, would you actually do all that work on your own? Are you someone who would spend 40 hours per week self-studying that information on the internet for 4 years straight if it wasn't for college? Probably not. Most people just don't have the capacity to motivate themselves to do it on their own. And yeah, if you could do that, more power to you. You're already in the top 1% of people when it comes to motivation. But I'm not one of those people, which means that, yeah, I'm going to college and I'm also going to pay for a lifting and running coach to make sure that I have that accountability. In my book, it's worth paying someone to force me to get up at 6 a.m. 3 times a week. The second habit I want to build in 2022 is not using my phone in the first hour of every day, or more specifically, not going on social media the moment that I wake up. One big issue I've been having over the past couple of years is that the moment I wake up, I just pick up my phone, pull it into bed, and lay in bed for 30 minutes to an hour every single day. This has been happening ever since I graduated high school, when most of my commitments start between 9 to 11 a.m. so I don't have to show up at school at 7 in the morning for gym class. I can get away with waking up at 6 and laying in bed till 6:30 or 7 before getting up for my day. But this habit has caused a bunch of issues. First of all, it almost always derails my schedule. Usually I plan to work out right after waking up, but what almost always happens is I wake up at 6, I end up laying in bed for 30 minutes to an hour, and then I convince myself, hey, you have to start working, you have to go to class, you don't have time to go to the gym anymore. This is one of the main reasons working out has been so hard, because I just rationalized not going by laying in bed for too long. I found on those few occasions where I have some sort of commitment that forces me to get up at 7 a.m., I feel so much better because I don't end up laying in bed for hours on end and wasting those precious hours of the morning. Getting a lifting and running coach will definitely help with this because they'll provide that accountability structure which will force me to get up and get ready on time. Another reason why I don't want to use my phone in bed is because I usually end up scrolling social media for that entire time, and starting my day with YouTube or Instagram or Snapchat just makes me feel so bad. YouTube is alright, but Instagram, Snapchat, I mean YouTube's pretty bad too, honestly. It's just filled with politics, inflammatory posts. Why would I look at that in the morning when I could be doing something that's meaningful or working out or exercising instead of just cluttering my mind with useless crap? There are times where I'm looking at my phone for so long right in front of my face in bed because I don't have my contacts in. My eyes will start to hurt because I'm looking at something right in front of my face for so long. It's completely ridiculous. I need to stop doing that. Ideally, I'd immediately get out of bed, get ready, shower, maybe go on a walk or work out, and then maybe later in the day I can check my emails, social media, YouTube, and I know I'll feel a lot better if I do that. So how am I gonna keep myself accountable with this? Like I said before, the running and lifting coach will help, but I'm also planning on leaving my phone in the car in the parking garage downstairs and using a physical alarm clock. If I have to get ready, get into the elevator, go down 8 floors to get to my car, I'm sure as hell I'm not going to use my phone first thing in the morning. I'll probably end up staring into space for 5 minutes, but honestly that's way better than going on my phone for an hour. The physical alarm clock will make sure that I actually have an alarm and I don't oversleep, which can happen if you don't have any sort of alarm structure set up. Hopefully when waking up in the future, just pure boredom will motivate me to get out of bed because I don't have that phone to look at all the time. My third daily habit is getting enough sunlight every single day. I just realized that most of these habits so far are related to my morning routine. So yeah, drop a comment down below if you want me to vlog and track my morning routine next semester and see if I actually stick to all of these. As you guys probably know, your circadian rhythm is this internal clock which controls a whole cascade of biological events. Obviously it controls when you feel like you have to fall asleep and when you want to wake up, but it also controls alertness throughout the day, hormones, hunger, energy, a bunch of different things. If you have a good circadian rhythm, one hormone that is released right when you wake up is the hormone cortisol. The media has kind of demonized cortisol as the stress hormone, but it's actually really useful and necessary to have it right there in the morning. If you get that healthy cortisol bump right when you wake up, it will motivate you to get out of bed and get your day going. The reason a lot of people when they wake up are super tired and they can't get out of bed is because their cortisol is delayed, meaning they had that cortisol bump at 9-10 in the morning, which motivates them to get up, but they end up waking up before that, which is why their first few hours are just terrible. The best way to set your morning cortisol release is to get enough sunlight in the morning. You need at least 100,000 lux of light every single day, preferably in those morning hours, to time your circadian rhythm to make sure you get that energy boost when you need it. I originally heard about this from neurobiologist and ophthalmologist Andrew Huberman at Stanford. You should check out his podcast, Huberman Lab. I'll link it down below. It's honestly one of the podcasts that has most changed my life. I highly recommend everyone check it out. I do have a daylight lamp, which allows me to get some sunlight when I'm working, but honestly, just getting outside as soon as I wake up would be the best way to do this. My plan is immediately wake up, get out of bed, and get outside for 10 to 15 minutes for some sort of daily walk. Ideally, I don't have have my phone on me, so I just sit there with my thoughts, which would kind of be like a meditative practice, just walking in the morning, first thing I do without any distractions. There are a lot of benefits to walking every single morning. The few times that I've actually done this, I felt so relaxed and at peace when I actually come back inside and get ready for the day. When I'm in my hometown and I just get to watch the sun rise and the light hit the trees over the fields, it's just this incredible feeling that you don't get at all unless you get outside in the morning. Eventually, I want to get a dog, so the dog will yell at me and force me to take it outside for a walk, which will provide that accountability because you can't just not walk your dog. This would definitely be the optimal situation, having a dog that makes you go outside. But in the meantime, having my phone in the car and maybe that deadline of getting ready by 7 for the gym would motivate me to get up on time and make enough time to actually go outside. The fourth habit I'd like to add to my daily routine is doing an hour of reading/writing every single morning. Again, another addition to the morning routine. If you boil down creating content, especially making YouTube videos, it would all come down to one daily habit, which is writing. If I'm honest, everything else other than the story, it's just all extras. Lighting, camera, music, it's all just frosting that goes on top of the cake, which is a script. The YouTube videos that I personally create are mostly video essays. Most of the value comes from the ideas and the writing behind them. You can basically open one of my YouTube videos and just forget the video aspect entirely and just listen to it and get 90% of the value. Think about it this way. What would you rather watch? An 8K cinematic reel showing beautiful shots of nature and tree frogs and owls, filmed and edited incredibly well, or someone telling an interesting story or having a funny conversation? I bet that most people would actually get bored of the cinematic shots in 5 seconds, but there are people who would watch just two dudes having a conversation for hours. Look at Joe Rogan. His podcast still has pretty bad lighting and editing, yet almost everyone is 3 hours long and everyone loves it.
What's the line of consciousness and not consciousness between hydrogen and here? Yeah.
I was watching a video today that we played on a podcast earlier of a monkey riding a motorcycle down the street, jumps off the motorcycle and tries to steal a baby.
There's definitely some degree of consciousness there.
The beauty is the story. The story, what is said, matters the most. Another example is David Goggins. Let me tell you, the editing, the music, that is not the appeal of these clips. It's the energy, the charisma, the power of his life story that comes through. That's what matters much more. Every video I create starts with a script. It takes about 2 to 3 hours of focused writing to do research, write an outline, and make a tight script that I can deliver to the camera. Once I complete that, honestly, the rest is pretty easy. The rest is just going through the motions with something that doesn't take too much brain power. If I can get better at one thing, which is writing, that will improve so many aspects of my videos downstream. Good writing is the 80-20 that makes up the majority of how good a video is. This is why I want to have a daily writing practice where I write for at least 30 to 40 minutes every single day. This could be anything from working on a script to writing an article to just brain dumping ideas. I just need to put words on a page. I also want to read for 20 to 30 minutes every day. Writing is where you take your ideas and knowledge and consolidate it down to a deliverable format, but widely reading is actually where you develop those ideas and knowledge in the first place. Without consuming high quality content, there's nothing to create from. Ideally, I'd like to start every day with that power hour of reading and writing, which is just time for me. I'm planning on getting a writing coach to help provide accountability for that writing and maybe improve on it as well. But we'll see how that goes. I'm working full time next semester, so I'm not sure if I'll have enough time to go to the gym, work out, come back, and also write and read for an hour, but I'll do my best and I'll see how it goes. The final habit I want to start doing in 2022 is a nightly music hour. Music was always a big part of my life growing up. I played piano, cello, saxophone, oboe, but recently I really haven't been able to pursue any of those fully. Saxophone was my main instrument. In high school, it was my primary extracurricular activity, and I loved playing it. I got so much joy from playing in the band, playing in jazz band, and having friends through that. However, after going to university, I pretty much completely stopped. I want to rekindle my music habit by having this hour of music time blocked off to practice saxophone, piano, or singing every single day. During that hour, I could do whatever musical activity I want to, but as long as I'm spending that hour practicing something, I'll be happy with it. Daily practice for that hour is the one thing that I can do at the start of the pipeline to make sure I'm improving consistently over the long term. I started taking singing lessons a few months ago as well, and while I'm still a novice at singing, I definitely have felt improvement, and I want to practice that more consistently, which the daily music hour will help. I'm also planning on getting a piano teacher and maybe my old saxophone teacher, and those two structures will help provide accountability over the long term. Music is one of those things that I want to do for the rest of my life. The feeling that you have when you listen to music that you really enjoy is just unparalleled with anything else. And I have a lot of the groundwork already laid out. I did play a bunch of instruments and I have a decent amount of musical understanding. I just need to get back into it, which is my goal in 2022. So yeah, those are my 5 habits that that I'm planning on starting in 2022. If you're interested in learning more about some of my habits, you can watch this video right here where I talk about how I rediscovered my love of reading last year. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.